The bigger the cushion, the sweeter the pushin'. That's what I said. The looser the waistband, the deeper the quicksand, or so I have read. My baby fits me like a flesh tuxedo. I love to sink her with my pink torpedo. Poetry, of course, written by the great Spinal Tap, which brings us here today. I am Christian Bladt, as always, and with me, of course, is my pal Eric Connor, Count Eric Connor, as he's sometimes known as.
Or today, Eric Smalls.
Eric Smalls, yes, exactly. And you were holding up Spinal Tap, the book, right?
Yes, a signed copy by none other than Rob Reiner, though I don't know if he really did sign this. This looks like it's more Phil Alden Robinson.
Well, shouldn't it be signed by Marty DeBurgi anyway?
Damn it.
I'm just saying.
In
any case, so we're here to, initially we have to talk about the legacy of Spinal Tap, the some would say the first mockumentary ever made, a whole genre stemming from This Is Spinal Tap, and the recent release, Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. There may or may not be more people with us. One I was fairly confident on, considering he went to go see it last night. So it's part of the mystery. It'll be like, who's going to be the drummer for Spinal Tap when I go to see them? Who is going to speak about Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues? My question for you, Eric, for people who know you, your background is, teaching, bringing screenwriting to the future filmmakers of tomorrow. Where does a film like This Is Spinal Tap come in? A largely improvised, but it's probably improvised in the way Curb Your Enthusiasm is. It's like, this scene's going to be about this, and we want to end on that. But, so you have a lot of, I feel like a lot of Nigel Tufnell was Christopher Guest off the cuff. But I could be wrong. Where does a film like this factor into the realm of screenwriting?
Well, I think it's funny. You look at something like this, Borat, and then the one that really might have given birth to this, which is the Ruddles. This notion of create a fake band that becomes a real band. Goes back to the Monkees even before that, which wound up actually giving us some of the great pop songs of modern day. As a sample of writing, I guess, right? As like storytelling. What's really impressive here is the characters are actually surprisingly richly drawn, considering how ridiculous they all are. And this one, I think they even leaned a bit more into the ridiculous than they did in the first one, as far as what they're doing with their lives, but we'll get into that. But it takes a real skill. And this is where editing is so crucial to writing. The idea of, imagine how much footage the editor had to go through. I mean, when you brought up Curb Your Enthusiasm, you're right. They would have an outline of the scene, and then they just sort of say, have at it. Make sure you hit kind of these points. And I imagine that was a fair amount of this, but you also need to have some kind of build. In both movies, there is an actual story thread.
Yes.
That plays out. So it couldn't just be improv, but yet at the same time, there are some lines in there that are so good that you can't imagine were ever written. What makes them so good is the fact that they feel like they do come out of the ether. And it's a real challenge to write something like this, or to craft, I should say, something like this.
Well, and at this point, we also have the benefit of, these characters have been around for 40 years now. It wasn't just This Is Spinal Tap and Spinal Tap 2. There's an era in the middle where they put out the album Break Like the Wind. I think they actually toured for it, but, don't necessarily quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they did. There was a TV special that had some live performances. It was very funny. They have a drum solo, and the rest of the guys leave and go out to dinner, and there's videos showing all of it. And of course, this was very famous. There's an episode of The Simpsons, which shockingly is a scant 32 years ago, the episode of The Simpsons
My
that they did.
God.
I looked it up. It was 1992. Yeah. And, the whole episode isn't about them, but it was very funny that there's a Spinal Tap concert in there. So
Right.
we've really gotten to, build those characters. And obviously, these three gentlemen collaborate together wonderfully on other projects like A Mighty Wind. It's interesting because in this moment, Michael McKean was known. I think he was Lenny, not Squiggy. That's mostly what he was known for.
Sure. Well, that's how I think probably you and I were introduced to him.
Yeah. And Harry Shearer was in between his two stints on Saturday Night Live. Neither time, apparently, he had any fun, from what I've heard him say. But so he's like in the last year of the original cast, for people who don't know, because most of the original cast is gone by that point. Yeah.
Although he was also gave us maybe I'd put it top 10 SNL bits of all time, the synchronized swimming.
Yeah, that's after this, the season that he's on.
Right when he came back.
And Christopher Guest does Weekend Update was called Saturday Night News at that point. So he does the news, Christopher Guest. So he's on SNL at that point. And Spinal Tap actually performed on SNL in that season. I know one of the songs was Christmas with the Devil, but I forgot what the other one was. So in any case, they were not as well known. Rob Reiner was Meathead. And his directing career was fledgling at that point.
Like
so
the Sure Thing, I think, came out before this.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So this was a huge movie because what everybody goes on to do. I mean, Dana Carvey's a mime in a deleted scene. There's a lot of, like, when you really dig in deep. This is one of the first DVDs I bought when I had a DVD player, by the way, because I'm like, wait, deleted scenes of Spinal Tap, and they were great.
Oh, and if you radio listeners, TV listeners,
gather around, kids.
If you can get your hands on a DVD or Blu-ray, I don't know if they ever bother with Blu-ray on it, but like the director's comment or the commentary with them in character.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite lines from any Spinal Tap product was when there's that great joke in the original movie when in Boston canceled. Well, it's not a big college town. And then the commentary is one of them goes, well, that's a lie. We learned that's a lie. and it's like the commentary is as good as the film. And plus the bonus scenes are incredible. The cut scenes. Yeah,
there are a handful of commentaries that outweigh the film, and then this one, it just matches it for sure. So I think that this film became legendary in the music industry, but especially in hard rock and heavy metal bands, because a lot of them could recognize things about themselves. Puppet Show, Spinal Tap, built under the Puppet Show, the embarking on their era of freeform jazz, the wandering around trying to find the stage is apparently a true story. I'm not sure which band that was actually, borrowed from lovingly, but there were a lot of bands who looked and were like, hey, wait a minute. I'm recognizing myself up there. And the first movie is so legendary. You know what I mean? And I, for one, was very hesitant when I heard they were going to make a sequel, because it's so good. And I love these characters. But the fact that we did have them, in 1992, we have spent time with them since the initial film in 1984, it helped, you know what I mean? That they'd been around, I feel like they'd done interviews with Spinal Tap, that sort of a thing. So I wasn't, so I was one of those where I was cautiously optimistic. How would you gauge your excitement level for this?
I'm sorry, have to say it, 11.
My gosh.
I had to.
It's like we set that up in, yeah. And by the way, there's another Christian in the chat.
You met this Christian, in fact.
Oh, okay. Yes.
At UHF. So our concentric circles, Weird Al, Spinal Tap, and the name Christian. And a Jew. So we have
and by the way, stay tuned, because at the end of the show, I'm going to drink from the fire hose, but stay tuned. So yes, we hear about the sequel. I get nervous when I hear about something I love this much, but what were your thoughts, Eric?
Well, what you hit on already is like these guys, their careers have been fantastic. Now, Rob Reiner has been interesting because, I mean, for about 10 years there, Rob Reiner as a director was up there with anyone, and he would jump from genre to genre and do all of them beautifully. And then he went north and his career went south. Sorry, had to say it.
Hey,
Although
you did need to say it. It's fine. I
and
agree.
it's true though. And although he did the was it the American President after North, and that was a very good film. But since then, it's been a little bit of a rougher road.
It's been
him.
a little bit hit or miss, for sure. By the way, as I bring up his filmography, because the only way to do a show is to bring up Wikipedia and share it on the screen. That's what I've learned.
The John Melendez School of Broadcasting.
The sure thing's actually after this, and I thought it was before. But Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. I mean, he could have stopped. And maybe should have, because then it's North. American President is a tremendous film.
Yeah.
And his 2010 movie Flipped, I actually thought was really sweet and
quite
really
a few people like that movie.
Yeah.
Actually, that definitely has a following.
The young cast was really well cast, and when you have a movie about kids, it kind of hinges on that. I'm not going to lie. I did not realize that he did a movie about LBJ, but this movie, The Magic of Belle Isle,
I saw this.
It's not good, but you know what? It's filmed in my hometown of Greenwood Lake, New York. So I was excited. I basically was watching it for the scenery. But to your point, Rob Reiner has earned the right to make, I don't even know what God and Country is. I love Albert Brooks though. And his film Defending My Life is great. So Albert Brooks Defending My Life is probably about, so it's a documentary about him.
Yeah.
All right. So all that being said, nobody needed to make another Spinal Tap. It's not necessarily the cash grab,
Right. Wait, it wasn't like a legacy sequel or something that was going to be like, oh my God, like this will give a whole new boost to the franchise. Like the great joke is, right, they were washed up then.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And that was 40 years ago.
Look, when Tommy Wiseau does The Room 2, it's going to be a cash grab. Yeah.
I mean, is it possible that could make $100 million opening weekend just off me alone?
$500 million is what I would predict.
Anything less is a failure. Well, and I think also too, like, we're so used to mockumentaries now, so I think it's kind of like we're so comfortable with this form that it was kind of, the world is ready to go back and hang out with these guys again. Yeah. I think it was smart. I think it was good that they waited this long. And the fact is, right, they always were a bit out there. Even I got 20 some odd years ago, they did a whatever release of the DVD, and I got to see them perform live. But they also performed, and this was maybe one of my favorite nights I had in Los Angeles, because I got to cover the red carpet for the Daily Trojan, which is USC's newspaper.
Fight on.
Fight on with the Daily Trojan. Derek Smalls was a big fan of the name of that publication. I've tried to have a Daily Trojan myself. And I asked them, because I was doing this red carpet, I was working with a screenwriter doing research on a project about Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So all I had with me was like printed out pages of her text, of her poetry. And I told them it's been my lifelong dream to have Spinal Tap sign the poetry of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. and they laughed. And then he's like, oh my God, this bloke is serious. And so they signed it for me. And then I thanked whoever managed the red carpet. And they go, well, you're going to the concert? And I'm like, can I? And like, of course. And they gave me a ticket. And all of a sudden I'm at House of Blues. And like, I get to see the Folksmen from Mighty Wind open for Spinal Tap.
That's right. I remember now that you say that they were doing that. That's one of those ones where either or, like, if you could just see the folks when you're like, that's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Right.
Yeah.
And at first, by the way, their makeup was so good. It took a second for everyone to recognize them. But the thing that did it was, with all due peace and love, Harry Shearer, when he turns that nose, it's kind of like a Jay Leno
I,
chin, like you could see it from space.
I believe you're allowed to comment on the size of
I
someone's
can say
nose.
right,
I don't.
right,
Yeah,
right,
I don't. Yeah, that it's there are some things that are certain people's words. Noses is their their body
right.
part. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and I think they stayed around sort of long enough on the fringes of things, and obviously all these performers are still out there. So I think even if we weren't clamoring, it doesn't feel like desperate. It doesn't feel like, Bat Out of Hell Part 3. Like it really did feel like they
Yeah.
earned the right to come back on the big
Right.
screen.
Bad Out of Hell 2 is actually very good. But we don't need to talk about Bad
Bat
Out
Out
of
of
Hell 3.
No, it's like the third Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh my gosh. Is that the one? Isn't there one that Bert's not in, or am I
That
wrong about
that's
that?
that
That's
is
the
it.
oh my
He
gosh.
does show up for one scene as a dream sequence
Can
kind of moment.
can you imagine how much they paid him for that one scene? And
Mo-
also the fact that it was probably added after they'd finished the movie and they're like, Jesus, we got nothing.
Right, and that
Uh,
movie, oh, tanked. Anywho,
So the idea of getting Tap back together to perform one more show, I don't think that they needed to be like, oh, they're actually contractually obligated to for one more show. That's the premise. The idea of bands who haven't talked getting back together, I think is very in vogue right now. I come with peace and love as you do as the producer of 100 songs that define heavy metal. And I wore a T-shirt that's actually a bit of a desperate cash grab from the stadium tour when Motley Crue unretired so that they could make some more money. And nobody told Vince Neil that they had unretired. I think he just thought he was hanging out with the guys. And
he thought he was in line at Hometown Buffet.
yeah, I would comment on what it sounded like for Vince Neil to sing in 2022, except that he basically handed the microphone to the audience for the whole show because you've heard very little of Vince.
Oh yeah, and he
But
got winded easily, I believe.
yeah, I'm surprised that they don't have the oxygen on, like Frank Booth and Red Velvet. Sorry, Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet.
He's in an iron lung for the entire performance.
So it would have worked perfectly. I love the idea. I mean, the Who are on a farewell tour. The Who's
Again,
their first farewell tour was literally in 1982. I know it sounds like a joke, but it
no,
actually they did go on a farewell tour in 1982, and in 2025 they say they're doing it again. And kudos to music fans because that tour is not selling. People are like, no, we're good because they overpriced the tickets and they're like, this is like the fifth Who farewell tour. I don't think I need to go to that.
Christian, I got offered a ticket last night, kind of last second,
At the Hollywood Bowl, right?
yeah, and I didn't go because I had a temple board meeting, which I think sums it all up. Like why someone like me who goes to every concert I possibly can missed out on that.
Well, they're much like a Who concert. There are people in attendance at the board meeting who have tinnitus. So, I think it at least felt a little bit similar in that respect. Yeah, it's very interesting that what's going on out there. So, look, the idea of getting them back together, for me, all of them in the room together is good, but I did love catching up with them and remembering that we have kind of caught up with these characters over the last 30 years. And there's nothing one more British, there's nothing two more comedy than Nigel Tufnell opening a cheese shop. I mean, literally one of
guitar shop.
Cheese and guitar shop, which as he explains how sometimes you could bring in a guitar and get some cheese, or you could bring in some cheese and get a guitar. It's amazing. And that's where you feel like, okay, yeah, this is a loosely outlined scene. And Rob Reiner's great at playing along with them and asking the exact right question in the right moment. And I love that. I just love the idea, because I mean, obviously the Monty Python cheese shop is arguably, okay, let's say it's one of the 5 most famous sketches in the world of sketch comedy, the cheese shop. I'm afraid we're fresh out of Red Camembert. Oh, just not my lucky day.
And he keeps a great running joke. He keeps losing customers, and then they mourn the cheese they will no longer sell.
Yes. Yeah. So he has a young lady friend who I think is his wife, and I think that's fun. And Derek Smalls running the. I'm trying to think of exactly how they characterize it. He's got like a museum
Of
uh,
glue.
of glue, but he's got like crazy. Well, not crazy glue. That would have no. But he has like some of the most outlandish vials of glue in history, and of course, one gets stuck up his nose, and it's like I'm gonna have to leave this here. It's okay. Look, the cheese shop was a home run. That was that was a bloop single. It was all right, but he owns it. He inhabits the scene about the glue and how he's always been interested in glue. I thought is one of those matter of fact, like, when you're watching good improv and it's like, okay, they start off with, well, I've always been interested in glue. I'm like, all right, I'm going to sit back and watch where this goes. Right. Eric?
And they keep the vial in his nose.
Yeah.
So much longer than you would expect, and yet exactly how long you would expect. I mean, it's the how many rakes can Sideshow Bob step on? And the answer is an infinite amount.
An infinite number of rakes. Yeah.
But I think of all three of them, and I thought the composer of hold music was maybe one of the best jokes of this whole film.
Well, and as he goes along and he plays Marty DeBurgi, Rob Reiner, he plays him some of the hold music. He's proud of only little bits of it, By the way, I was reminded of that yesterday when I was in the dentist chair, which is always where a good story starts. And there was, music of some of the most random songs in a row. The first one was Europe's The Final Countdown, which everybody knows as the
right.
You know that part. And I'm like, huh. And then the next one was Crash Test Dummies.
In
and
music,
both in music
form.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's very nice. I like that. Yes, in music form. And I was just like, what sketch have I wandered into? And I'm wondering, I'm like, did David St. Hubbins have anything to do with this? I love that he's like still in music, basically. And he's very proud of his work doing hold music.
The one thing, did you smell?
I know our buddy Cam Egan, who is one of our great friends on our show, Marvel Movie Talk, asked, did we smell the dentist's glove? I did not. Smell the book. Smell the glove. We're going to be joined by one of our friends in a moment, but Eric, I want to let you finish your thought.
Oh, shoot. And now the moment's gone. One thing they didn't do, which I was kind of hoping for, but I think they didn't do it because it might have been so obvious. I would have assumed after the first movie came out, their career went right back to the crapper. But they actually play up this idea that, well, Spinal Tap did play at Wembley.
Yeah. Which they did. Yeah.
Right. Real life. So they actually went with they got bigger than ever, and then they broke up.
Which the real world version of that is the band Anvil, who there's the documentary about. And I mean, they didn't play Wembley, but it definitely revitalized their career. Speaking of revitalizing careers, Eric and I have, had this show on our shoulders for 23 minutes. And what I was commenting on before we started with two potential other additional panelists, one of whom told me he most likely will not be here. And it's the one who's probably drunk at this point. And is that the two of us in this format, it's perfect. We're like right above the logo, right with the Stonehenge behind us. And now we welcome to the show our friend, the great Liam McEneaney. And now my background doesn't look so great, does it, Liam? I think you're on mute, Liam.
No, it's good this way.
No. This isn't MLC. We need to talk on this show. And maybe this is actually pretty great. So yeah, we don't hear you, Liam. We do not hear you. And maybe you don't hear us.
Playing the role of an old baseball reel.
Yeah, that's right. He's moving very fast.
Wait, we heard something.
I heard something.
Do you hear me?
When
yes.
Okay. I thought that it was the Howard Stern show, and then who's at the door? Oh, it's Andrew Dice Clay. Hey, what is JD doing playing with Legos over here?
No, the
Anyway,
problem was I popped on screen and you guys just didn't stop talking.
no, that's true. We
So
never do. Yeah.
Why would we?
And Kem Egan does have the point. If we're talking about Spinal Tap, a third member shows up. It would actually be the fourth member that this would happen to. But yes, you might spontaneously combust. Great to see you, Kem Egan, in here. So, Liam, we gave some background about, this is Spinal Tap being a legendary film and being a little bit, apprehensive about a sequel. But really, this wasn't the first time we had revisited these characters. They have the Break Like the Wind album in the early 90s. We mentioned that they'd been on The Simpsons. They'd had a TV special. So it wasn't like, oh, it's been 40 years. Going back in seems like it's almost sacred. But what were your thoughts before you see the movie about the fact that this movie was going to exist?
well, first of all, as I said to you, yes, I will. I did watch Spinal Tap 2 yesterday for you, but I was not going to watch it
in a crowded house.
Was not going to watch. Now you guys keep talking. I'll just finish my sentences after the show. I was not going to watch Spinal Tap 92 again. That was, or was it 97? It was definitely a Comedy Central exclusive premiere, mockumentary sequel to this movie, reuniting the stars and the director.
Yes,
it was terrible.
And that's sort of like the unofficial entry. I was talking about like when they had the Break Like the Wind album, there was like a TV special with some concert footage, and
that was a TV special.
So the concert footage part was actually very funny. But yeah, I think that what you need to do is kind of put them in a setting like this. This worked better than that, but. One of the things I wanted to talk about is that this movie in the opening weekend made $1.5 million. And look, that's a nice chunk of change for the three of us to divide up. And this is not a huge movie. That's very little bit of money for a sequel to a legendary film to make in its opening weekend. But Liam, you said that it was not sparsely attended, correct?
Well, I would say the theater I went to last night was pretty full. We were texting and Eric asked if they'd sold all 20 seats. But it was actually Theater 6 at the AMC 16, which, as we all know, seats about 70 or 80. I was stuck in the front. I was actually stuck in row C, which, the non-recliner. So I was like kind of stuck staring straight up at the screen. So there were about 50 people behind me, really enjoying. What was interesting was I was laughing at all the things that they weren't laughing at, and they were all like not laughing while I was laughing really hard. So I don't know if I'm dumb, like a Homer Simpson guy, where it's like I'm hearing jokes where there are none, or if the audience just was really in tune with each other and I was not part of the crowd.
So the question is, were they laughing just at different times than you? Or you were just the only one left? Because I've been that guy, that you're kind of the only one laughing, and then it just kind of makes you laugh harder.
Or Liam, was it the angry guy from Working Man?
No, they were all. I think they all got. I got a couple looks because I did fall asleep and start snoring loudly, and I woke myself up snoring. So. I but I don't think I slept too long because I fell asleep and there was they were talking. There's like I don't know. I woke up and Paul McCartney was on the screen,
which you can see right now on our visual version. Yeah, well, the movie's like an hour and 25 minutes, and you mentioned that you slept 20 minutes, and as I said, that's like half of your nap during Craven. Craven, you were out for a solid 40, I think.
Actually, I would say I thought I was asleep for 10, and then I looked at the plot on Wikipedia, and I might not have actually even been asleep that long.
Yeah.
Because this, like you said, it's 85 minutes. My favorite joke in this movie, nobody else laughed in the theater, but it's like my favorite joke in the movie, they're doing like that whole spoken word intro to Stonehenge where they do this and then someone in the crowd just yells, "Do Stonehenge!"
Yeah.
I just laughed my ass off. Nobody else laughed.
We did.
loved that joke. Yeah, that was See, this is why we should have all gone to see it together.
This is why you're part of our entourage at AMC,
Right.
Liam, so that you're with like-minded folk.
That's true. We yeah, I know. Who's jealous out there in the audience that the three of us we share AMC entourage, and
It's very intimate.
Yeah. So yeah, look, and I think that there's plenty of laughs in the movie, and I would say, and Liam, tell me if you agree, there are enough laughs to justify making this film. But is that accurate or is that not accurate?
I have a very, very insufferable answer to this question.
I can't wait to hear it.
The jokes are there, like obviously, and like obviously you put Rob Reiner and those three guys together and they'll come up with funny stuff. My problem was more with the story. Like, to me, the story mechanics just don't work because there's no real central conflict. I actually watched Spinal Tap last night after I came home from the movie just to make sure I was right about this. But like the cool thing about Spinal Tap was, even though that was also like less than 90 minutes, they had a central conflict to the story, which was kind of like, here's this band that used to be popular and we're watching them kind of like watching their career die in front of us, which is funny. But also then, like, the wife comes, like David's wife comes and causes a conflict with the band and makes everything worse. And they show up to the hotel and, like there's like all these little conflicts along the way that like get resolved eventually. Whereas in this movie, there's no real central conflict. It's like they hire an executive who's based on Simon Cowell, and he comes up with some funny ideas that are bad, and then he just leaves, and there's no real explanation for it. And then he's back, and there's no explanation for it. And it's like kind of like the whole story is not like, it's not based on like, oh no, what's this band going to do? It's just kind of like, okay, we've got this concert we're going to do, and then they do it. And, Elton John joins them, and there's no real problem with that. It's like someone says something funny and inappropriate to Elton John. Someone says something funny and inappropriate to Paul McCartney. But at the end of the day, there's no like real conflict that they have to solve in terms of like putting on a concert or their career or their personal lives. There's like interpersonal conflict, and then it's just resolved. And I'll stop here, but I have a lot more to say about that.
No. Well, please, you're here because we want to hear what you have to say. But to that end, I think the idea of them working towards one show is it's a good, engine, as they say. But the fact that there's this conflict between David and Nigel, and it's resolved in a funny way during the credits where Derek's like, yeah, actually I shagged his wife. And I'm like, oh, okay. But like, it was like this thing like, oh, you know what you did. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I feel like it was a bit of a missed opportunity. I'm not a huge fan of, the aggregators of critic reaction, but I do think that the Rotten Tomatoes summary, which by the way gave this a 67%, which is more than 11. But the quote is, getting the band back together for an encore, Spinal Tap 2's dry sense of humor doesn't reach the heights of the original's comedic brilliance, but still hits the right nostalgic chords while wisely acting its own age. So to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, that kind of sounds like the movie that I saw. What say you, Count Eric-Kana?
Yeah, you're making wonderful points as always, Mr. Liam. I think the idea is it's a little more episodic than the first movie. The first movie, there is an actual build and there's tension, and like she shows up, and are they going to even make it to the stage? This one, it is sort of a foregone conclusion. The name of David Brent's band, by the way, from The Office. So they are basically gonna go. So you're right. Like, it doesn't have something that really sort of pushes us through the story. So it does have more of a feel of like a series of very funny sketches strung together than the first movie, which really did have a good narrative. And all these steps along the way actually built to something. But it's one of those two. But when I was watching it, I think your question before, Christian, about was there enough laughs to warrant it? I felt within 10 minutes the answer was yes. Like I found myself laughing so much early on and steadily throughout. So that, like, in essence, like, I didn't mind the lack of story, though I think a story would have elevated this. If there was some actual tension, will they make it to the show or not? Will this band be able to stay together? I mean, I saw Oasis, last week, and the ultimate tension, and the reason I think my buddy and I didn't buy tickets early was we weren't sure if they would ever make it to LA. And somehow they did, and they even hugged each other on stage, as opposed to when I saw them in the 90s and they called each other the C word. And I kind of like that version a lot, but musically they sound great. So there's a real tension of, though, people who hate each other having to perform together. And I agree. I think they could have gotten more out of that, but a lot of laughs in this. And I think that aggregate review is pretty dead on.
Well, I feel I also need to point out, the C word has different intensity for different groups of people. Like that word gets thrown around a lot when the three of us AMC entourage and meet up to see Jason Statham film. It's mostly directed at us, but
at
still.
Liam specifically. And then we got some T words.
We did, yeah.
We got more of the C.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm sorry. The real story, honestly, for me, and what I would love to hear is about how this movie came together in the editing. And I'm really going to spoil the movie now. And so if you don't want me to spoil the movie, turn it off.
No, yeah, but please go ahead.
No, leave it on, but leave the room.
So the actual way that they resolve this plot between David and Nigel is, or I should say Jimmy McGill and Nigel is. By the way, his accent slipped a lot in this movie, which was pretty funny on its own.
It's actually a great point. Yes, I didn't think about it, but yes, go ahead.
But my point is just like, he walks away from the venue right when the show's about to start, and then that's like, oh man, what a great opportunity to build some tension. And then he walks down the street and sees two blues musicians, and then he flashes back to the original movie. And then back to present. It just flashes back to him and his friend, him and Nigel playing music, and flashback. In the present, he's like, "Oh man, it's so much fun to play music with him." And I'm like, "That's not something you write. That's something when you're sitting in the editing room at 2 a.m. and you're like, motherfucker, we don't have an ending. We don't have an act 3. We don't have like a resolution for this movie. Okay." You know what? Let's just throw this flashback in here, and we'll have these two blues musicians, and we'll throw in this close up, and we'll hope nobody notices it's from a different shot, and we'll make it work.
Right. Yeah. I think I think we're all in agreement that it is very light on story, and I mostly had fun with it. I'm not okay. So I basically made Liam see it in the theater so that we could do it on the podcast, but everybody else, you see it when it's streaming. That's fine. I think that the biggest surprise as the movie was starting, I'm like, oh, Bleecker Street Films, Spinal Tap 2. Oh, okay. That's not what I expected. Not the marriage that I thought we'd be getting. One thing I want to talk about, and they've both come up. I actually thought that the cameos worked well, which a lot of times you have, legendary project, famous people like it, and they want to come in. I thought Paul McCartney was actually very funny. And I liked, what I really thought was funny was they were both like on Zoom, but Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers and Lars Ulrich from Metallica, basically both trying to pawn the band off on the other one. Yes. I was like, all right, I feel like that might be borrowed from the real life music industry. I thought that was funny. The idea that nobody wants to be their drummer, of course, but the climax with Elton John, I did think was very funny because it's building. We know, oh yeah, their drummer always dies. And I think that expectation was going to be that, so she's moving the drum riser. Again, we're getting really in the weeds and the spoilers, but this is mostly something to come and laugh at, so I'm not that worried about it. And we're like, oh my God, they're going to drop Stonehenge on her. And no, she was fine. But
it was the only one that was fine, which made the joke. Like, how many people got hurt at the end besides her?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was one of those where I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, all right, this is all right. This is pretty funny. And I'm like, all right. I think the line of the film is Sir Elton John saying "fuck Spinal Tap."
Yeah. And then it goes to credits.
Yeah, and then
Although there's more in the credits, but
there are more
technically,
last
line of the script would be "fuck Spinal Tap," as said by Elton John on the ground, writhing in pain.
Right. What do you think of the credits, Eric? I'll ask you first.
I mean,
sorry, I said credits. I meant cameos, but
the cameos. Yeah, I completely agree. It totally worked. They didn't overstay their welcome. I think the Chad Smith, Lars Ulrich one, both those guys played it so perfectly too, where they were like so low key with it. Neither of them was playing it for jokes. They were actually playing it like, oh yeah, no, I think I know someone who can help you. And I think Paul McCartney was great. And I love him and David are pissed. Like David immediately feels threatened by him.
Yeah.
And he can't let that go. And I thought that was such a great way to use him. That like Paul comes in, he doesn't want to listen to anything he says. I'm glad they didn't overdo it with the cameos. Questlove was fine. I think they could have had a little more fun with his maybe, but just that idea of going after there's not that many drummers we recognize, and I feel like they grabbed everyone they could except maybe Dave Grohl. But beyond
and he might be unavailable at the moment. He's still managing the revelation of his second family, as you may recall. So
yeah, right. Oh, that's right. It would have been right when this was being filmed. So
yeah, maybe he was initially on the list.
His lawyers were busy that week.
You think his wife intercepted the letter inviting him into the movie and just like, no, sir.
No, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. What did you think? The big ones being Sir Paul and Sir Elton. What did you think of the involvement and treating this as though Spinal Tap, Liam, is this legendary band that these other legendary Rock and Roll Hall of Fame musicians are like, oh yeah, I'm a huge Spinal Tap fan.
I mean, look at. I still think Elton John's funniest movie role was in The Kingsman. Kingsman.
Right. He was great in that.
It wasn't surprising to me. Like Elton John's hilarious. Turns out Elton John's hilarious, and he should be in more movies. I felt like, look, if Paul McCartney says I want to be in your movie, you're putting Paul McCartney in your rock and roll movie, and if Paul McCartney's willing to play with you as a band, you're not going to say no. I felt like his cameo was a little gratuitous, and I think it really, like, for me, those cameos especially spoke to the point you were making earlier, which is Spinal Tap 1, the whole joke was this was a failing band. Like, this was a band that, like, nobody really had respect for. It was a band that, like, was kind of a joke in the rock and roll community. And then the great joke at the end of Spinal Tap 1 is, like, thank God for Japan. And so it just like kind of was like a little bit of a whiplash for me to like when Elton John's like, this is my favorite band ever and I know all their songs by heart.
Yeah.
It made more sense actually when Paul McCartney's like, let's play Cups and Cakes together because that's the only song of yours I actually know.
Yeah. I do. By the way, I do like that David St. Hubbins, of course, played by Jimmy McGill. He's like, no, let's not do the song that you're well suited to. Let's have you do Stonehenge, right. Because he's having a real issue with these legendary musicians. Somebody from Liam's chat, Atuna Alt. Spinal Tap changed my life comedy-wise. He also said, I was thinking of the golden days of Liam's channel when he posted movies and hung out in chat. I guess that golden era has passed, Liam?
YouTube demonetized my channel.
Oh, okay.
All I have to do is send them a video showing them how I put my shows together. The magic behind my shows that I can have
transformative content. But Liam Teddy did ask if your channel got demonized, not demonetized. I think it did get demonized many times over.
Yeah. I would say KB's not a fan.
Of Teddy or of you?
No, he demonized my channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, Tuna Alt is sorry to hear that.
Thank you, Tuna Alt. It's okay. I'm making a comeback. I have time to like make that video pretty soon.
Yeah, and you have a special coming very soon, right?
Right. So that's the thing, is I'm currently procrastinating on making a trailer for my special. So one video at a time, fellas.
That's what we like to say around here in the old Bladtcast. It's like, hey, we're gonna win people over one video at a time. And check out our previous episode where we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Kiss Alive. That one has caught on fire, so please check that one out. But anyway, back to your point, Liam.
Is it in real time, like your other Kiss, the thing you did with the?
No, I want to do that every Halloween. Watch the Tom Snyder show, the Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder, where Gene and Paul hate every minute of it, but Ace Frehley and Tom Snyder probably had the night of their lives.
Not the Paul Lynde one?
No, that's not. No. Tootie Fields is in that. It's a different story. And by the way, thank you, Ladastro. Just finished the Kiss video. Please remember to go to kissonline.com. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, and I'm actually plugging another one of your projects. I'm thinking of the time you revisited it on Who Are These Broadcasters?
And that show's great.
Took you 90 minutes with Don Jameson to get through that.
It was 40. It was 40, and believe me, I heard about it from someone that I spent 40 minutes on it. But Don Jameson is in the Kiss Alive video, and that video is an hour and a half. So it's all about people finding the content they want, and Liam is going to get back into the content game. You know? Does
that special have a co-host just sitting there wondering what the fuck's going on his show?
No, I don't think you're talking about my friend Eric Zane. But by the way, if we're in the clips portion of the episode early, Who Are These Broadcasters is Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the Who Are These Podcasts YouTube channel. Our Howard Stern recap from when he came back is by far our biggest episode, even much bigger than when we had legendary comedian Tom Myers on the show. I mean, like 5 times the size of the Tom Myers episode. So,
but anyway, to finish answering your question, so those cameos were great. But it was like the John Michael Higgins cameo as the guy who was like leading them through exercises so they could do dances. I was like, oh man, all of a sudden we're in Christopher Guest mockumentary territory, and it doesn't work.
I agree 100%. I'm not going to lie. I forgot about that. John Michael Higgins is somebody I always thought was so funny. And then he's in far and away my least favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie, Licorice Pizza. Inexplicably doing racist Asian character, not in one scene, but in 2 scenes. Because PTA is like, yeah, let's go back into that. Let's have him do that. So it had been a minute since I saw him. And I'm going to say I liked this less than that. His appearance in this less than that. Because it's like, oh, they're old. They need to do exercise.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry to dominate this portion of, but I haven't seen Licorice Pizza yet. Is it full? Is it full breakfast at Tiffany? Screaming down the stairs in a funny Japanese accent.
He doesn't have the teeth. I think that's the one.
He doesn't have the teeth. That's the one thing that's missing.
But it's a real. He's playing an Asian person.
No, he's a guy making fun of an Asian person by doing a broad Asian impression. And by the way, since Hughesy's not here. But he has an upcoming episode that I'll be a part of. Does Paul Thomas Anderson stink? And I'm going to say, based on Licorice Pizza, yes. Based on the last 20 minutes of Magnolia, yes. Speaking of Husey Entertainment, sorry I couldn't make it. I got lost on my way to the office. Get it? Husey, you're still welcome. You can jump on even if it's just for a couple minutes.
Come and say the C word and leave.
Send me the link! Yeah, I'll send you the link. It's fine. And I'm sorry. I'm getting overcome by the chat. If Sam Bibley shows up, it says Liam is back, baby. Liam, we got really bogged down. We got in the weeds there. You're right. That, I don't know, if you do like 5 seconds of like them exercising, set to while they're rehearsing, it's fine. But how long was that scene, Liam? You just saw it. So was that like a good 3-4 minutes?
I would say it's somewhere between 3 minutes and a lifetime.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I got to reach. There we go.
Right.
I can't believe I didn't have it.
I just took this up to 11. That was the joke I was trying to make when I was coming in.
It's all right because I already stole your joke.
We had another one. Yeah, 11's kind of been. We've taken that.
Took joke theft up to 11.
Are you getting arrested?
No, it's civil unrest outside in North Hollywood. Whatever, man.
Yeah, yeah. He's on the mean streets of North Hollywood. You don't hear any sirens in Burbank.
The bright side of Burbank. Yeah.
All you ever get is I've done many streams where my neighbors have the gardener, blowing leaves. So in any event,
Leaves is the name of my dog.
Yeah, I tell you. Eric, Liam does have a good point. They did try to cram a lot of things in there. And when we're dealing with the Simon Cowell-like character, the manager with the terrible ideas, and also like he can't hear, can't process music, that's kind of, and again, it's not this movie's fault that I had just seen Peacemaker where Tim Meadows has bird blindness. He can't tell one bird from another.
Oh, so funny.
And so then I'm like, this guy like can't process music. I'm like, but whatever.
I wanted one moment from his point of view. I kept hoping we would somehow get that, and we never did. One of my friends said that it feels like there is a scene or two that is missing, explaining his departure because it's so abrupt and it's not a dramatic payoff. Like there's no weight to it. So it doesn't build on the comedy. It doesn't build on the tension. It's just sort of like, all right, I'm out. And there's no consequence. So it's one of those, like, I did like that character and I thought they used him well. I did love him pitching. It was almost like that old SNL bit with Chop and Broccoli where they try to convince the guy, if you die, your album will sell much better.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of that joke, but it worked and he's funny. I don't know who that actor is, but then he's just gone. And yeah, I think in the bonus footage, maybe there's an explanation. Is there another gig he took and that gig turned out to be even worse than the Spinal Tap one? So yeah, that one set up, no payoff.
Well, earlier Liam talked about the movie being possibly saved in the editing room. And then that is probably one that you can't save in the editing room because nobody thought to film it. So Eric, you should have been on the set. I'm going to bring in our fourth, but only via text form. Husey Entertainment, plot hole. Why would a hippie band of the 60s have a heavy metal name like Spinal Tap? Well, they didn't start off as Spinal Tap, but then they realized that they could cash in. So I'll use a perfect musical anecdote, a comparison, an analogy. You know the band Sugar Ray that have all those 90s pop hits. They didn't used to sound like that. And then they have that one song Fly and they're like, well, shit, we're going to just do that now. The Goo Goo Dolls were originally signed to Metal Blade Records.
No.
And they were, a little bit of like a punk / metal hybrid. And then it's like, oh, wait, we could get on the radio. So yeah, I think that's basically what happened with Tap. But
by the way, there's a great video out there. Mark McGrath, the guy from Sugar Ray?
It is Mark McGrath, yes.
So he's like in a bad mood. He's just like someone filming it, taping him while he's out amongst his fans, and this teenager just goes, "Hey, sugar gay," and he completely flips on the kid. Just absolutely starts screaming at him.
That's sugar homosexual.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm sugar gay. Did you say I'm sugar gay?" Just worth finding the video. But I just want to point out also the band Husey was originally called the Originals, and then
and not the New Originals. Yeah,
they found out there's another band called the Originals, so they call themselves the New Originals. Then the other band changed their name to and so on and so forth. So the first movie actually has a whole explanation, in-universe explanation for that.
Well, Liam, if you're going to bring up something that sends us off on a tangent and has absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand, but it sounds like it's good, it's going to be good content and going to be good footage. Yeah. Oh, I know it's it because I listened to it while I was pretending to listen to you. But I
You
know
weren't
what you're saying.
pretending.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Cigarette Jones does have a really important point that Ray stinks. If you can smell funnel cake, Sugar Ray are likely playing at the same time. All right, I'm going to leave that comment on the screen as we dive into this video from Mark McGrath. Let's hear.
Make a hole, gentlemen. Make a hole. Move it. Who said
Make
sugar
a hole,
dad?
the Christian Bladt story.
Who said that?
All right.
You? Oh,
All right. I don't mind people making fun of me, but you literally talked over the important moment of the video.
I'm sorry.
So that's 10 demerits for Eric Conley.
Make a hole, gentlemen. Make a hole. Move it. Who said sugar dad? Beat your fucking ass. Who said that? You? Oh, I choked your fucking face. You say that? Oh, I didn't say anything. You ready to spark? Did I say anything? Did I say anything? Did you say something? No, I did not say anything. I choked your fucking head.
Hey, Mark, can I get your autograph?
I forgot about that.
I took your fucking face. You said it again. Did I say anything?
Yes, you did. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Whoa. I'm sorry. This is important. Did he say I'll fuck your fucking face if you say that again?
Yep.
Wouldn't that then prove that he's sugar gay?
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, can I get your autograph?
Oh, man.
Yeah, you can.
All right, cool.
You beat the fuck out of that guy right there.
Which one? Tomorrow.
The one that Minnie Driver is going to do to
Well,
I took your fucking face. You said it again. Did I say anything?
yes, you did. Hold on. He didn't finish his autograph.
You didn't finish your autograph.
I hope that the deleted scenes to Spinal Tap 2 are at least somewhere near as entertaining as that. But
That kid, that by the way, I would be proud if that kid was my son. That
I can see your son doing that. By the way, where's Mr. Hollywood? Oh, he's at school. That's
right. You know, he's a good boy. He's doing his work.
Well, I don't want to belabor this point too much, but I do want to try to keep us down to a manageable like hour or so, which anybody who watches any of my content knows that I'm a stickler for keeping to a schedule and making sure that all the content that I post is lean and mean. Liam, would you watch this again? You know, especially if like, oh, there's like 20 minutes of deleted stuff, or are you good after one viewing?
You mean when the Criterion 4K comes out?
Oh, and our friend Kaylee, of course, buys it as she spends like $600 on Criterion DVDs. Yes,
I mean, I got to tell you, I am going to buy Spinal Tap on 4K today. So because they did reshoot it. They reshoot it on 4K.
Well, I have it on standard def DVD. Jealous? Husey, how would that look in your home cinema on a? It might be pan and scan actually.
It only takes up one corner.
I don't, it'll be a while before I watch this movie again. I'm not going to lie to you. I will say I was very happily surprised to find out that there was on a Wednesday night, there was a theater full of people because, and I have to tell you guys, go support comedies in the theater because they're just so much more fun to watch. There was a trailer for a movie that Bleecker Street's releasing soon called Feckham Hall, which is just like kind of giving the Zucker brothers treatment to Glass Onion and not Glass Onion, what the fucking Ryan Johnson.
Knives Out.
Yeah, Knives Out, and it was funny as hell. And watching the trailer in a theater full of people just primed for comedy, it was great. Like even the jokes that might not have landed when I was at home, they landed really well in this theater. So yeah, I recommend going to see it, especially if you are, as most of us were last night, middle-aged, and just kind of like revisiting a childhood favorite. Because that's the thing. At the end of the day, this is like 88 minutes of hanging out with these characters from your childhood one more time before everybody on screen dies, which they all look about 2 days away from doing.
Speaking of middle age and a few days away from dying, I know that Erica, you have one of your many doctor's visits upcoming right now, or perhaps you have to pee. Maybe someone's checking your prostate, perhaps by appointment, or just for fun. Do you have any final thoughts here?
No, dude, man, not just a finger. I got a lot of room there. That's a little more to scale.
Smell the glove
from the inside. Slavin. I will definitely watch this again. My wife didn't see it, so I'm beyond excited for whenever it gets to streaming, and I will sit her down like you were watching this. I don't think my boys will appreciate this one so much, but I think we will. And there's definitely jokes I missed. I mean, we were laughing enough. And Liam, I couldn't agree more. I also saw the trailer for Fackham Hall. And I had never heard about that movie. I don't know if you had heard about it even.
No.
And this trailer comes out and it begins like it is a Bridgerton kind of story, or Downton Abbey. And then the best part was immediately afterwards was the Downton Abbey Silence Your Phones, which was all of a sudden hysterical for the first time. But yeah, Fackham Hall got me really excited. It's coming out in December, I believe. And my friends I saw this with, we already agreed we're going to go see that. So the idea of comedy amongst people, like that's the hardest thing at home, at least for me, between like the human kids and the dogs, like just having like an hour and a half to focus on anything. And so with comedy, being with other people, like it is infectious. And I enjoyed this so much more because I got to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, Liam and I saw Naked Gun together this summer, and I'll say it was and then that was great. It was great to see with an audience. What were you going to say, Liam? And Eric, when you have to go, please don't stay on our account at Count Eric Connor on social media. But what were you going to say, Liam?
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to extend it. But I'm just agreeing with Eric because like and this is a big spoiler also, but like instead of revisiting the "it goes up to 11" joke, they kind of revisit the whole overarching gag of like Nigel's really into all his gear, and there's a joke where like very not to me great running joke about his love of cheese, and so his guitar has like a cheese board and a cheese grater. I would not have laughed at that alone, but the audience I was with was so explosive when he started doing that I was like, yeah, that is funny. And I started laughing too. So
yeah, I think that all of his pedals was great the first time. And then they go back to it. And I'm like, oh, all right. The cheese board was kind of funny. I was like, there should have been one pedal gag in the film.
I will say there was a payoff with Rob Reiner that made it worthwhile.
There was that one line though about what are we going to do with a Japanese woman being stabbed?
Yeah.
As a sound effect. I'm like, that made it all worthwhile. Yeah. I am going to leave you here, gents.
All right.
Seeing your handsome, rugged faces. I'll miss you all.
I love you more. I love you more than a friend. Wait, that's the wrong show. Always. Sorry. All right, but now again, our background looks great because there's only two of us. Look, I don't care which two. As long as there's only two of us, it looks great. By the way, no, Hughesy's not camera ready. He does point out, just to refer back to Mark McGrath, the clip begins with him saying, make a hole. Right. And then he gets offended by being called sugar gay. Yeah.
Look, I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want you being the next person in our world to get sued. But Mark McGrath might have been on some stimulants. There might have been something. He might have been on more than pure air.
You know what? I think the stimulant when you're Mark McGrath is just life, baby. I'm sure he was stimulated on his own fame.
Anyway, you know how watching that clip together made us all laugh harder? Go watch Spinal Tap in the theater. Even the tap water joke will seem funnier.
Yeah, look, I had fun with it, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad that we got to revisit them. Now, if they do a Spinal Tap 3 in like 2 more years, because that's kind of the trend, like legendary movie, franchise or whatever comes back, and then they're like, oh, well, then we'll just do another one. I'm like, no, this was good. And like, if they want to show up and do more performances, or maybe just like a talk show appearance, which you want to talk about an image that has aged poorly. Here they are on the Jimmy Kimmel show, which I'll tell my kids one day used to be a thing. There used to be a guy named Jimmy Kimmel who had a late night television show. I have attended this morning. Yeah, I did. And but the gang from Tap there with Marty DeBurgi all crammed on the couch. They did this in character. So if anybody wants to find that, I would say watch it today while
Right.
Kimmel's content is still up on the ABC YouTube channel. Yeah, I'd be more interested in seeing the characters again in, you know, a non-traditional setting. I don't think the $1.5 million box office lends itself to a Spinal Tap 3, you know.
I would say that quite frankly, the Simpsons episode was a better sequel. Because you know that just kind of like played them as the characters they were in the original movie, and not like as this legend that they became in the real world, you know. But yeah, no, it's. I was reading an interview with Rob Reiner, and he was like, "Well, this is the first sequel I've ever made in my career, and usually I've made a point of not making sequels." And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's also been 40 years since you made Stand By Me. You know, it's like, you know, what else are you? I mean, I love Rob Reiner. He's a legend, but North is a more recent movie than the one, you know, Good Men."
Yeah, you popped in a little late. We talked about the run that he was on with just some of the most amazing movies, culminating in A Few Good Men, and then North really pumps the brakes on it. You know, it's it's all over at that point.
It didn't just pump the brakes. It put a curse on him. Like it's the craziest thing. That guy was like one of the great directors of his generation, and then it's like his career fell Wile E. Coyote like off a cliff into a barrel of TNT, and then exploded him, and he never quite put it back together.
I'm sorry. I like this interesting moment where you live close enough to me that I can hear this helicopter out my window, but it's also like far enough away from you that it's much more faint. So we're having
it was
fun.
outside my window. We live near a military base, folks, and an airport.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Well, Liam, I do appreciate you, one, seeing the movie last night for us, and two, joining us as we talk about it.
I had David Lynch class last night, and we were watching Dune. I was very, very happy to have an excuse to not watch Dune again.
And I assume if it's the David Lynch class, it's the David Lynch Dune, not the Denis Villeneuve, or however you say that dude's name, right?
Denis Villeneuve? No, it wasn't even the Jodorowsky's Dune, which I've never seen. But
the one for Sci-Fi Channel? Is it? Are you talking about that one?
No. So Jodorowsky was originally going to do Dune, and there's I've heard it's a great documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune, and it's just all about the Dune that we didn't get a chance to watch.
I mean, I love that documentary about Superman Lives, the Superman movie that Tim Burton didn't make with Nick Cage. I love movies about movies that didn't get made, you know.
I want to step into the alternate universe where David Lynch said yes to directing Return of the Jedi. That's all.
I can't imagine what that would be like. You know, I literally, I'm glad. I'm glad that we don't. You know what? No, I would like to see it.
This movie doesn't have enough dwarves.
Well, what about the Ewoks? No, you can't see them. Well, Liam, what are you excited for the rest of the year in terms of film releases? I do always intend to enjoy Paul Thomas Anderson movies, and I think some of them have been, of course, great. So one battle after another looks, you know, I'm hearing good rumblings. Is there anything that you're like, oh yeah, I saw a trailer, or I know this is coming? What should the cinephiles out there, which is a different kind of files than are the audience of other shows, the cinephiles, what should they be looking for the rest of the year in the theater?
Well, that's a hell of a way to tell me I'm uninvited from your podcast.
No, I want you to be on, but
no,
you know.
Simon Pegg's The Running Man.
Oh,
holy shit! I knew there was a Running Man reboot coming.
Yeah.
I was not excited for it because I was like, if you think you're going to improve on Paul Verhoeven and who I believe directed The Running Man and Arnold Schwarzenegger, I could be wrong about that. He did Total Recall, which was also a great movie. Quick, help me out. Who directed The Running Man?
Paul Michael Glaser.
Yes, Paul Michael Glaser, absolute 80s cheese starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. 90s cheese. Felt like 80s cheese. Boy, I'm not doing it. but then I saw the trailer.
1987.
Oh, it was 80s cheese.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Nigel Tufnell would approve.
I was 11 years old when that came out, and you cannot. I tried watching it again as an adult. It did not improve with age. When you're 11 years old and you're watching Schwarzenegger fucking running down professional wrestlers, nothing better. But this is directed by Simon Pegg. The trailer looks fucking amazing. They're going to hew a little closer to Stephen King's original story, but not much. This might be the year of Richard Bachman, because I enjoyed The Long Walk very much. And
I thought it was really well done. I saw it with Eric, I don't know, over the weekend. And I think that it might not have been the right moment to have Stephen King attached to your project, because he was, making some headlines for all the wrong reasons. But I thought the movie was very good, and I thought the movie only works because of the performances. I asked our buddy Husey if he would see it, and he just he can't watch Mark Hamill in anything. And I tried to. Yeah, I mean, not after The Last Jedi, I think he said, but I said, check out Bert Kreischer's The Machine. Then that'll really, have you warm up to Mark Hamill.
First of all, as far as Last Jedi goes, Rian Johnson's a very nice guy. A big fan.
That is the company line on this channel. That as far as The Last Jedi goes, Rian Johnson's a nice guy. Yeah.
Big fan. But also Mark Hamill is fucking hams it up exactly the right amount in this movie. He's
perfect in this. This is a perfect role for him.
This is honestly his late career arc of just being a character actor and hamming it up and knowing when to pull it back in. I think he hated what he had to do in The Last Jedi, and I get why, because it felt very out of character for Luke Skywalker. But it also played into his strengths of just being a cheeseball so well that I couldn't be mad at his performance.
If you like his character work, where he's the voice of the Joker in Batman the Animated Series, and the fact that he does the exact same voice as the Hobgoblin in Spider-Man the Animated Series, then you will love him in The Long Walk. It is, again, the coup de grace of cheese. And, you mentioned Paul Verhoeven, and I can't say enough. I did a whole episode from Nice Doug from Good Times, Great Movies. The one movie from my childhood that has only gotten better is, of course, 1987's RoboCop, because it's the same year as The Running Man. I just think that movie only gets better. It only seems more timely, as basically we're all living in New Detroit. So
we are, and I'm not joking, we are 2 years away from getting ED-209s on the street. That's not a joke. It's just, you look at the robots that are out there. It's I think we're getting a RoboCop. I think they're just waiting for the right street officer to die.
And that's a fact, Jack. Curious George with a K. I just spent $37 for Hider in the House Blu-ray. Have you seen this movie? I have never heard of this either. 1989. Gary Busey, Mimi Rogers, and Michael McKean. I mean, if you spent $37 on it, I will at least stream it for $4 or whatever. I'll make a note of that one. Do you know this movie, Liam?
No, but I just Googled it, and the official images make it look like Mimi Rogers might be naked in this movie.
Okay, so I've already ordered it.
any 80s movie with Mimi Rogers undressed in bed, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I saw Michael McKean at the airport at JFK waiting for an Uber, and it made the Uber experience 10% better. He just does that with everything. He really does. I was standing next to Michael McKean, and we traded a look, and where his look was please don't recognize me, and my look was hey, I grew up in New York City, I got this. We didn't recognize each other. He left me alone, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, which usually he's very needy when he sees somebody. Yeah.
Anyway, Curious George, does she get naked in this movie? Because I will watch Hider in the House. I'll stream it. I'll download it.
Liam, what would you like to promote? You have things that are, in the works. You have a special.
Yes.
What would you?
I have a special coming out. So here's the thing: I pump the brakes on stand-up for the most part. I haven't done much stand-up actually since I recorded that special last year. It's finally coming out. Did you come to that? I forget. It's
Your
not
special, yes. Eric and I were both there. Yeah.
Okay, so it's I'm just gonna plug it for 1 second. It's coming out on Amazon Prime in October. I still don't know what day in October, which is why I've been procrastinating on the trailer, but I got to get on top of that. And it's not like here's my special. I'm dumping it on Amazon Prime, as one of my stalkers likes to accuse me. It's being released by Comedy Dynamics, and it was a very loose taping. I will say it was edited a little more tightly than I would have done, but I made sure that they left in a lot of like just me starting over jokes or fucking around with the audience or making fun of the production because it was done at midnight in a venue with no air conditioning, following two other people taping their 1 hour specials. So it's 40 minutes of wholesome, good fun. And I will say, if you've heard my albums, you've only heard 20% of the material that I do. There's most of it's new. I forgot to do a couple bits, so you'll see maybe where there could have been a little better setup. And that's it. I'm not going to start apologizing for my special.
No, you shouldn't. And Eric and I were both there. We had fun that night, and part of the fun was your interacting with the audience. And then, the idea that we get to see you start a bit over when you're like, oh wait, I didn't set it up right. So I
was at the peak of my weight gain. So if one of your joys is sending me super chats telling me how fat I am, you are going to love this special.
I don't know. I'm surprised none of those people are in the chat. They usually are, the people who love to send those messages.
They're watching. We're up against Chad right now. So they're all in Chad's chat right now.
I mean, if Chad's live, it's a perfect reason for me to go. I need to sit down Zoomock like everyone. I don't even know what it means. Send Monk Space the link. I don't know who that is.
Allegedly was there. That's the name of the venue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Allegedly, I think I know. Allegedly, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you work at the Zanku Chicken on Sepulveda? Because I might have seen you there. If you do.
Oh, Zanku. Let's do an episode on Zanku Chicken at some point. But
yeah, it's like intestine roulette. Once every 10 visits, I just shit like crazy, and I can't figure out why.
But the other 9 times, you're like, oh, that was so good. And then it's definitely an abusive relationship. You're just like, yeah. I think he's going to be nice to me this time. Well, I want to thank.
But I tease allegedly because that's his favorite Zanku Chicken in L.A. Sorry, allegedly. I was just teasing.
I do want to thank the great Liam McEneaney for being here. Of course, Count Eric Connor, Adam Hughesy, the H-Man Hughes in the chat. Go subscribe to Hughesy Entertainment Television. Now that would have been the real fun if Hughesy was streaming this live, because he's monetized and we would have had super chats and then he would have got to keep all the money, but that's all right. Well, thank everybody so much. We have I believe our next episode is going to be our annual MLB playoff preview, which may or may not include the Mets, but we're going to talk about them anyway, because that's how we always start that show. It's going to be better content if they don't make it in, because we'll actually be a little bit angrier. Cigarette Jones is a Liam guy. You know what, Cigarette Jones? So am I. I am also a Liam guy.
Well, that's not what Cigarette Jones was saying in the Clown Town chats. We got a lot to talk about. And I'm just kidding. I don't give a fuck.
So as for me, if you're a Christian Black guy, you can find me on social media at Christian DMZ. Subscribe to the Bladtcast, BLADTCAST on YouTube and wherever podcasts are found. And as mentioned earlier, my show, Who Are These Broadcasters? Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Myself and the great Eric Zane, looking around the world of jerks in broadcasting. And you'll find us there.
I'm gonna do one more plug. Maybe this Sunday, but definitely next Sunday. Almost definitely next Sunday. I will be bringing back my top 3 podcast after 15 years. So tune into this channel if you're watching on my channel.
Less of a delay between Spinal Tap 1 and 2, so it's fine. 15 years is nothing.
The 15th anniversary.
15th anniversary. Thanks again, everybody, and we will see you next time on the Bladtcast.